This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now with local real estate expert Harvey Blankfeld.
Where we want to educate you about our market, empower you to make wise decisions, and help you engage with our expert contributors. Ro, I had a bunch of questions for you today, and I wanted to get into some of that. One of them is, we talk about this a number of times, but I think it's more important now than ever that when a buyer is looking to buy a home, that they actually meet and talk with their lender first and get themselves in a position where they can write an offer with a fully approved loan, or as much far down the road as they can with the loan.
I think it's one of the most important, probably the single most important thing a buyer can do is to get approved and fully approved, not just a pre-approval.
The other thing is that you get to establish your budget properly. So many times a buyer will call me and say, "Hey Harvey, I'm interested in buying this house, but I don't want to go over $250,000 or I don't want to go over $300,000." And my first question is how did you arrive at that figure?
Yeah.
And they just, you'd be surprised how many times they say, well, I'm just guessing, Yeah. Well, you know what? You need to talk to your lender and figure out what that payment's going to be, what kind of a down payment you're going to need. All of these things are so important. And then when you go out and you're looking for houses, you can buy it.
Right.
As opposed to hoping you can buy it. The other thing I wanted to run by you was the idea of renting versus owning. I think particularly a lot of our younger people still are not ready to commit to purchasing a home because they feel like, they've seen the horrors that we had in the mid-2000s. Those were horrible. People lost their homes, so they were financially devastating. But I don't think what they realize is the tremendous advantage of owning versus renting, particularly now as rents are going up pretty dramatically.
Well, the thing is they can buy and probably, not probably, they'll have more of a house for their money versus the apartment.
Yep.
And we're seeing the payments really close to the same. So
yeah, as apartments get more expensive, buying a home with the same payment as an apartment, and now you're taking in, you're paying your own mortgage as opposed to somebody else's. To me, that's the most important line in this whole process to say, hey, I'm putting money towards my future, not the landlord's future.
When you're qualified for a loan, how long does that qualification last before you have to get it refreshed?
So typically 120 days is the time frame that we would look at. Of course, I always tell people that within that 120 days, if anything changes in your financial condition, that could alter the approval as well.
So that's 120 days, give or take. That's basically because that's when the credit
expires in 120 days.
Then let's suppose at the end of that 120 days you haven't gotten that house. Do you have to start the process over?
It's actually just updating it. So we would update the file after the 120 days. We would repull credit, see if there's any changes. We would go ahead and update the income assets just to make sure that we're still on the same path. So it's more updating the file. But typically things don't change a whole lot with people for the most part. But there are the isolated cases where there can be some changes and some that are not controllable.
This has been Las Vegas Real Estate Now. Thanks for listening. And remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDAWN.